Okay, we started in Serbia, we worked our way up to Hungary, and we worked our way to Slovakia with the Chinese girl there. We parted ways in Poland, Warsaw. There I cycled to the coastline, took the Euro Velos across the Glensey, and now I'm on the greenways. Russia. These are known as moors, M-O-R, in Poland. They're along most of the bike route, Green Velo. Different things. Sometimes they have nice little shelters like this. Problem with shelter like this is it's great. Tables built into the floor, so camping in here, yeah, you can camp on top of the benches, or if you can hang your hammock above the stuff, get away with that, you can do it. Has a little toy. So overall, very nice place. Alright, not the most ideal. I'll hang the hammock up inside in here. It's supposed to rain later tonight. It's getting dark now. Watched the movie, ate some food. Hang a little higher than I like to, but it's the only place I can hang properly. Take a look at a few more things and then go to bed. Goodbye, happy campsite. A moor. These are the moors. I did a live video on it to talk more about them. Check it out. It'll tell you more about what these are. Just over those hills in the distance is Kaliningrad, Russia. As I said, you'll see the signs for the moors here in Poland. This one's next to a church. A little bit maybe quieter than the one I was at last night. Has the area, has again a little shelter, bench, parking spaces. Okay, the new game here is practicing the shorter, more 20-second, 10 to 20-second clips of something. Anything that's a major old Polish city is going to have one of these squares. Churches are usually around the corners of the square, but the square is the main dominant thing. Most of these have them. They are sometimes better than others. More old style versus the new style. I'm gonna get some cash here at the bank because I haven't had cash in a while, and some of these areas, little villages, cash is more necessary than others. The cheap phenomena. Yeah, it's something we should talk about. It's what you find in cheaper countries is you spend more because things are cheaper, so you get nicer things, you eat better, but in the long run you end up spending more money than countries where it's just no way you're gonna buy stuff because it's just so ridiculously priced. One of the Poland things is definitely all about the churches and the popiopi. Enjoy! The prairies. Beautiful, beautiful prairies. Of course, another church, another city. River. And the church. Cute little city, still with the stone, part of the stone perimeter. A little bit of an old town, and as we said, the church on that side. Sometimes in the Polish cities it's fun when you go from the Soviet time buildings and back to the old time stuff with a mixture of where they put the Soviet buildings and they put the regular buildings from the Soviet era. Poland, like I say, is all about the churches and the old buildings. Some mornings nothing one can do but wait for a break in the rain. Sit in our hammock and go back to sleep if we get a little bit more nap if the noise is down. As I've said before, one of the better things of this system is you can take it down in between the rain, keep most of the stuff dry. The tarp will never be dry, but that can hang up on top. Back over that way is a shelter. I'm going to move off to there and wait to see if there's heavy rain. All right, back to the shelter real quickly this morning, get my breakfast, have it where it's there. I'm not going to dry anything off. The weather's getting a little break in between the storms. So now it's time to run on a little farther towards the next shelters. As this one, like I say, you can see is right in the middle of town, so not the best one that you can just stay at and sleep at and be left alone. All right, somebody asked me is Poland worth it with all the rain I'm getting? And I'm going to tell people, yes, Poland is worth it with all the rain. Poland is still, by far to me, one of the better countries to cycle in. It does have, a good amount of cycle paths. It does have some good trails. Yeah, there is some traffic on some of these. It's a little less than memorable. But in general, with the hideout places and everything else, the cheap food, everything else, rain and weather, you can't predict. Just think, I started this with a heat wave, everything over 30 something to 35 degrees, unheard of for Europe. Now to go to cold and rain. It's just the way it goes. Welcome to bike riding, the world. All right, something that's worse than rain and anything else is when you get to these, especially if it's rained, you get to these roads where they're working on them. Of course, they're not put on the maps that you know they're there. That you get to a place like this and the mud is not mud, it's sand, and with how many vehicles have gone through, they've just torn it up and it's nearly impossible to ride through here. You almost have to push the bike through. I'm gonna turn the camera around, look at the other end, and that's what it is. Just wow. As I constantly say, the towns in Poland, these little villages out in the middle of nowhere, are so cute. They're all built in the sign of the same design. Some stuff is different. In the woodlands areas, you find the maps, but you also find, when you get to the wood areas, the totems, which are here, that they have different totems all over. Quite often you look and you just look around at the scenery and you say, where am I? Until you get to a city, you really wouldn't know whether this was Poland, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Iowa with cornfields and such. So, yeah, it's always got to give something for reference to let you remind you where you're at. Okay, I don't know why, but they got a welcome bike sign on their city. Good thing for me, I'm on a bike. Again, a nice little moor. This one has a couple spots. Has the one up top here where it overlooks the lake. And then it looks like it actually has a camping area down there where people would camp and go there. I'm gonna zoom in on that. And that's more camping area. It's more like a little restaurant and slash camping area. So I'm sure on the weekends it's busy. On the weekdays or rain days, it's not much. So I'll avoid that. Most bikepackers still have the big front stuff. And there's a nice quiet moor just outside the city. Toilet and all. Sometimes I really gotta wonder about bike routes and bike paths. That's the bike path up ahead over there, or bike route. Again, gonna go through some muddy roads, but yet you look over here, nice paved bike route, but doesn't go in the same area. So it's just really weird how they are. They're either zigzag or they go straight, and if they go straight, a lot of times they go through mud track roads. As we say, some of these tracks need to be a wee bit fun. It's gravel, at least it's not chewed up like the road and sand, but it's slow going. You never know what you find when you ride some places. Interesting. Bike track. Alright, here's another one of these moors. This one's out of the city. Very nice place, some parking. Toilet over there. Bench over here. I'm going to take advantage of a little bit of sunlight, have my lunch, and see if I can dry my tarp. Some days you ride and you look, and you say, wow, am I just headed into that storm or what? Yeah, it's the way some of the trails are. They maintain, some aren't maintained, but usually still rideable. These are beautiful when you go underneath the tarpies like this, everything like that. But at the same time, they're mosquito haven. So yeah, gotta watch out. A lot of times gotta wait till nighttime to set up your hammock or whatever on these things, because a lot of times the locals come hang out here, drink, and do what they do, their little nookie time and everything else, because these are drinking spots in Poland for a lot of people. So as you see from here, they sit, they drink, and then they do their thing. So, but for me, it's a place to sleep, so I gotta wait until it's dark to close up and call it a night. Like I've said before, these moors are very nice, they're great places, but the problem is, like I said, some of them are too close to the city, or they're hangouts just close enough to the city where kids will come out forest picking and screwing and playing music and everything else. So you may not get to go to sleep until late at night, and you may get disturbed early in the morning with dog walkers or something else. But in general, it's a safe place and a place to sleep, cook, and everything else. And if it does rain like last night, you're inside a shelter where your other stuff will stay drier. Well, the last few weeks, it's been, as you can see from all the videos, it's been cloudy, rainy, and this and that. It just really hasn't broken up much and this and that. It's, as you see by what I'm wearing, a sweater. Much colder than usual, even for a cold summer here in Europe. It's just the way it goes. The problem has been a lot of this greenways and some of the other ones are on these gravel tracks. The gravel tracks, when it rains like this and it keeps raining day after day, they get saturated, they get wet, so the sand breaks up. And then when all the cars come through, as you can see here are the tractors, they tear it up. And then it's soft and the bike tires gush in there, makes it for very slow going, very hard riding. The good thing is, like I said, I've been finding the moors and the places to camp and hide out and rest in and take a break in. And that's about all we can do on this trip. It's still enjoyable, still beautiful scenery, just, yeah, not perfect as we like it.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.